So we're going to be doing Chapter 8's walkthrough, and as Noelle has always said, if you like it, put a ring on it, okay? So, all right. So we're going to put 2 rings on it with a figure 8. Chapter 8, we're going to be working with trend lines, pivot tables, pivot charts, and slicers. These slicers are not Freddy from Nightmare on Elm Street.
I love that movie.
That's why I used it. I was trying to have, some kind of reference that Noelle would like. And I'm going to talk about all the other candidates today besides Noelle and their platforms and why they're good for the school. I'm just kidding. So we're going to be doing a walkthrough. Like I said, this is the final chapter. And the pivot tables that we're going to be talking about, the trend lines, and the slicers. And I think I did a pivot chart. These are all on the certification for the expert level. This is the hardest stuff they ask you to do on the expert level, okay? So today's one of those things that we're going to want to focus in on, Myra, and we're going to want to think about because we're going to have to do it. Yes, Crystal. It's locked?
It's not on, it's not found.
Yeah.
Yours for chapter 8.
Reading and tools?
Yep.
So
Jack can be available.
we had all this time for questions before I started recording. Okay, so back to Excel. Sorry. We had to fix a little technical glitch there. What's disgusting? Okay, good. All right. And now what we're going to do is we're going to jump into this exciting world of Excel. I mean, there's nothing more exciting than Excel. There's no funny stories outside of Excel. I'm just kidding. All right, so let's go ahead and start today off with, let's see here. We've talked about we're going to be doing the Linked Me Internet Service Provider. We can see already what we're going to try and get to today, which is these 4 worksheets on page, what is that, 435? EX 435. So we're going to try and make that. So let's go ahead and open the worksheet that we need. That's found in your reading and tools. We're going to scroll down to chapter 8. We need this Linked Me. So I'm going to go ahead and download it. I'm going to open it. Ooh, I'm going to enable my editing.
If you were to close that, Mr. Drew, because I just closed it right now, so I went back and just reopened it. Can I enable editing through the settings on the top? Okay.
I don't understand the question.
So I now accidentally clicked the X instead of enable editing, and it
Okay.
won't allow me to edit. So I just closed it and opened it back up, and well, obviously now I'm gonna hit enable editing.
Yeah.
But is there a way where you can just go into the settings to enable editing without having?
You can, but the problem is then you might get a virus. So if this was a Mac, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But because you want to make sure you trust the source that it comes from, they're protecting it from having. So I don't know if you know about macros, but the question was, can I just force it to enable editing on everything? The answer is yes. Under options, you can. But you don't know if you download an Excel file from the internet if it has a virus that's going to do something to your computer. So usually the whole reason that enable editing is there is to say, I can look at a file, but it's not enabling all the code that can run in the file. Like you can't print unless you enable editing. But macros is the big piece. So we haven't done tons with macros, but a macro is when you do multiple commands at once. And in fact, we might need to attack macros tomorrow briefly, just because that's on the certification exam also. But if I was going to do if I was going to highlight this row, make it all bold, eliminate a couple columns, and I'm going to do that over and over again from something that's exported and brought in. So we run a thing called the LDA, the last date of activity for you guys. And so if a student hasn't participated in 7 days, that's when you start getting phone calls from us. Well, Mr. Marks runs a report. It comes out of the database into Excel, and then he just hits a macro, and it eliminates it all and shrinks it down to like the 10 people we're worried about without him having to do that every single time. It does it in like 1 second. So if you're going to enable things over and over again. But those macros can also run code, which somebody could say, hey, get in the hard drive, download this, email it to me, and so they could steal stuff from your computer. So hopefully, that was a long-winded answer for a short thing, but enable editing is there for the point of protection.
Close out the file and open it back up.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Okay, now I need a drink. Whew. Noelle's story about Twilight was just too much. So let's go ahead and we're going to create a chart and do a trend line. We are going to, on page 437, we are going to highlight 6 year sale figures. So if we need to go 6 year sales figures down here, we would. But we should be on this one. Now we want to highlight all the way from A4 to G5. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and insert a chart type. So we're going to go up to Insert. And we're going to come over here. Now we have all sorts of different charts. Up until now we've done pie charts, we've done bar charts, we have these space charts, this hierarchy charts. We're going to be using, I believe, a line chart here. Yep. And we want to do a 3D line chart. So I'm going to drop this one down. And we have a, well, not a 3D line chart. We want to select line with markers in 2D, which is this one, line with markers in 2D, 2 dimensions. It's the 4th one over. I told you to turn your phone off, and I will kick you out of this class.
Bye.
It got really serious really fast right there with Noelle. Okay. So we got that. Now we're going to put it on its own page now. So we're going to go up here to Move Chart. And we're going to put it on a new sheet. And we're going to call it, what are we going to call this sheet? Trend Line Chart. If I don't do it exactly like the book says, I get yelled at. Okay, we want to put a title on it, Link Me ISP instead of total sales. We're going to go ahead and put up here, we're going to change this and say link.
What is the location range? Location range.
The location range. Hold on one second, let me type this and I'm going to come help you. Whoops. So I retyped that title. I'm not creating spark lines. We're going to drop this down here. There we go. Now we're going to insert this one. We're going to drop it down, and you're going to come over here and click on that. Then we want to move this chart now to its own sheet, and you want to call that Trend Line Chart. Okay, so we've created that. Now we have a chart, but we want to do a trend line. Now, what does the trend look like here? Like if we were just to analyze this. Good trend, bad trend, what kind of a trend?
Yeah.
Making money.
They start from the bottom and kept on going.
They started from the bottom. I love it. That's really nice and simple. They started low, they're ending up higher. But what we see here is that this year there was a slight increase, massive increase, then a decline, and then an increase. So a trend line is going to kind of average this out and show us where it should be on projections. Okay, so that's a good way to project what's going to happen in the future is using a trend line. Like where is this going approximately? And it's going to do all the math for us on there.
So that means that if you do that, isn't that means that little thing right there, that dot has to keep on going up?
Which dot?
That last dot right there.
This dot has to keep going up?
Yeah, because if you
No, that's a good question. Let's talk about this. So, look, this is going up much slower than this one, right? But we still have to account for the fact that we had growth. So this trend line is probably going to start here and come up, you know, like it needs to be here. It doesn't mean it has to be exactly on it, but it's going to be like an average. Yeah, like this is what we're averaging in growth, and it gives us just a projection. So I'm guessing that this trend line, because of that dramatic spike, is going to say that where we should have been here is probably going to be right up about here, a little bit higher. That's what I'm guessing. We'll see right now when we do it. Let's see, we're on page 440. And we're going to jump into Add Chart Elements. So I want to click on the chart, if you're not already. Go into Design on Chart Tools, and we're going to add chart elements. And the chart element we want to do is a trend line. And it's going to ask us to do a linear trend line. Now, before I go much further,
see, yeah, it should have come in.
what? No, Oh, yeah, see, so we can kind of see the trend. But what I want to say is there's a misconception sometimes on these tests, okay, on these certifications, that you have to do it the way I just showed you. There's like 3 different ways to get to this. What the test is measuring is, can you put a trend line on here? You know, you could come over to the format area. You could come over here to add an element. You can also add an element right here. Notice that we're kind of the same thing. Here's trend line down here. There's a bunch of different ways to get to it. It's not which way you took. It's whether or not you did what you were supposed to do. Okay? So let's go ahead and say linear. And I have this little trend line right here that I can see. Now it says, now we're going to format it. So more trend line options. So if we click on this, we can come over here to this little bad boy. We can click on it, and it says more trend line options. So we go to this graph area. So we have linear, and we want to select the forward text box and make it 2. So on forecasting, we might want to go forward 2 periods. It's down here. Yes?
How do you format a trend line box? I don't have that.
If you just click on the actual trend line, sorry, let me. So you've got to go in here and click on not just this, but click on the line. And then you should be able to come over here and click on this graph button right here. Did you get it?
Yeah.
And then you can scroll down to this forward 2. We want a linear, and then we want a forecast forward 2.0. And what that's done now is you can see that we can see that in 2 more periods, 2018, 2019, we should be looking at this 400,000 mark in sales. So it's kind of projecting where we're going to go based on this. Now, question, is this right?
No.
We don't know. Like, who knows if, look, we had a slight increase here and then it bubbled. We don't know what happened previously. Maybe they're doing a buildup and they're going to have a dramatic jump again. We don't know, but the computer's just doing math saying, based on an average of what you've done, this is where we think it will go. That's it. It's not Nostradamus. It's just giving us math. And a lot of times in business, we statistically get mad. You know, we get mad at the numbers. You don't have to be mad at the numbers. This is just giving us a forecast of, hey, this is what the math says. Is it a good projection? Yeah. What if it was forecasting us down? Is it us?
It can be.
Well, it could be, but is it us? Is it us personally doing that? No, it's the business is in bad shape. So having the information says, hey, if we keep doing this, like just yesterday there was announced, for the first time ever, mobile internet usage worldwide eclipsed desktop usage. Okay? So more people are accessing the internet on mobile phones for the first time ever than on desktops. Yeah, it seems like it would have happened before, right? But I mean, the graph just changed. And so as we look at companies like Apple and Microsoft, what are they all focusing on right now? Yeah, they want wireless mobile devices. You know, we have Google and Android. Everybody's trying to get mobile devices out there. And okay, so more people are getting mobile and less people have desktops. I mean, it's only a matter of time till laptops go away. We all have tablets. You know, that's considered a mobile device. Yeah, well, they're getting there. Like this year was the first year. Like iPads were faster than 90% of PCs on the market. You know, it's just a fascinating thing that happens. But we can look at trends to see. Oh, we're in the middle of an election. Did you see? Like if you look at election polls, like they're neck and neck. They break, they come down, and it's getting right down. And we can see these trend lines, and people are like, uh-oh, with 6 days, is it going to go down for Hillary and up for Trump? Or is there going to be something that splits them again? You know, like all these. Those are just projections. They're just averages. And that's what a trend line tells us. It kind of predicts where we're going to go. So knowing that, we can use this in business, we can use this in politics, we could use this in a lot of things, but that's why we want to have the power of being able to do this. So we've got the trend line. We're looking at that. We want to change the format of a data point, and that is on page 442. So we want to click the 2014 data point right here. We're going to click in here. And I want to click on that singular data point. So I clicked on it and clicked on it again. I'm going to right mouse click it now, and I'm going to say format the data point.
Format the data series.
Nope, you need to click on it again so you have just that point. And I'm on the series 2. I don't know why. Here, let me click off. Format the data point.
I clicked another happening.
Yeah, me too.
Well, it's already on the right side, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's, I don't think that's.
You have to click on the fill, the bucket, paint,
Okay.
where it says rectangle.
Ta-da. Oh yeah, and then we're looking for marker, right? Then we want to go to marker. Thank you for that one. And we're going to change this now. We're going to change it to solid fill. Is that what we're at? So drop the fill, say solid fill. And we want to change the marker size to a 12. So marker options right here. Make it to a 12. Now notice this point now is much bigger than the other ones because the size of that number tells us the area. Fill line, marker, top. Good. So then we can go ahead and close that. And we can see that we have this one big outlier. Now if we didn't have this outlier, this trend line might be a different look, but that's what we do have right now. We can go ahead and save this, so Control S. Now we're going to do pivot table reports. Whew. Okay, pivot tables. This is a pretty advanced Excel thing, but it's one of the more powerful things. And this is one of the things that, I don't know, I'm going to pause really quick and tell you a quick story. Next thing you know, I wake up in the desert and there's the camel that I saved 3 years ago, and I rode it back into safety. And anyway, that's a long story, but that was a good story though, right? Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and create a blank pivot table. So we want to click on the sales analysis figures, this button down here, or this tab. And we want to click B3. And display the insert tab. So we want insert. And this little thing over here called a pivot table. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and click on pivot table. It's going to pop up the wizard that says create a pivot table. We're going to say yes, we want to do that. We want to just go ahead and click on a new worksheet. Notice how it says new worksheet right here. We're just going to say yep, go ahead and create a new one. Now it brings up this little form. This little bugger is tough on the Excel certification, okay? Because you're going to have to build a pivot table, and it looks just like this because you're in Excel. And when it first comes up, you're like, well, there's nothing there. That's right. We're going to build it from this stuff over here, telling it, this is what I want you to be able to show me in the pivot table. So we're going to add some data to it. First off, we're going to drag the service type field from the choose fields to and add it to report area. So service type, and we're going to put it in the, let's see here, service type down into rows. And I'm getting this from the book. It's telling us how to do it. On the test, you're going to have to figure out which ones go where. So, and once we see what a pivot table looks like, I'm hoping it's going to make a little more sense on what we're doing here. So we're going to build this one according to the book first. Then we're going to drag, let's see here, region down into rows also. We're going to put it below service type. Then we're going to drag into values 2016 revenue.
So depending on the order that you click them in, is it depending on the order that it's going to be placed in?
Yes. And 2017 revenue. Now I'm going to just translate this just ever so slightly right now. I'm going to zoom in so we can see it a little bit better. I'm going to translate what we've done here. It's separating all the data on the previous sheet into some information for us. So for instance, anybody that's in a city that has a basic ISP plan in 2016, this is the amount of money they got, or in 2017, this is the amount of money they got. Okay? If they're in a rural area, same thing, same. So it looks like rural's growing. Suburban's growing slightly, but this looks like our big money maker here, and we're losing a little bit of money in the city. Now, anybody on a Basic Plus plan in the city, we can see that Basic Plus hasn't moved that much, but rural looks like it's gangbusters. You know, rural is what's growing in this company so far, just looking at those two things. But we've been able to filter it out. Now, what if we don't want everything else? What if we want just basics? Well, we can filter with a pivot table to go through that entire table of data and just give us the little things that we want very quickly. And that's part of the power here. So we've added all the data, and we want to make sure that we have in the columns, we got values, that's good. So we got values up here, that came automatically. Now, why change the layout? When using multiple row labels, a different layout can make identifying groups and subgroups easier for the reader. So we're going to go up to Design, right here, under Design. We're going to go to Report Layout. And right now, we're going to switch it to Repeat All Item Labels. Okay, so we've got that.
Well, what did that do?
Well, we could switch it into tabular form. Let's see here. So now it's going to say basic, city, basic. But because we don't want it to have basic, 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 we can just do this thing where it's going to repeat.
So we're staying in repeat all labels.
You're what?
We're staying in repeat all labels.
Yeah, that's where we are. Display the report menu. Flip the page, great. Oh, we want to show in tabular form, so we are going to switch it over. So report layout, now we're going to show in tabular form. Oh, and then it wants us to go back to repeat. So it's just trying, I'm going to hit Control Z. We can see that we can switch it back and forth, but you don't have to do that. Yeah. So this is what we want it to look like. In the rows area of the pivot table task pane, drain the service type button below the region button. Okay, so this one now, we're going to come over here, we're going to change the way it looks. This is what George was asking. We're going to move it down here. Now it's going to show us the service type before the region. So notice that city, rural, and suburban are now the little labels here. If I switch it back, if I put service type first, it's going to put basic, basic plus. Now I'm going to move it and says, okay, I want to know in city, what are the sum of these revenues? And here's the total. How about suburban? How about grand total? So we have all those things, so we can reshift what's getting shown to us first and foremost. Does that make sense what we just did there? Like we can reorder. If I want to see all the basics, I can do that. I can just put the service type first. And now all the basic is going to be tabulated first, then basic plus. If I want to see regions, I just move it up here. And it's a very quick way to get a lot of data or a lot of information out of data. So now we're going to do a filter. We're going to drag the revenue venue field from choose field. So let's see here. We want to do the revenue venue, which is up above. I'm going to drag this down into filters. So we added that in there. Now we want to click on the filter button, which should be up on top. So that added the revenue venue right here. So what I can do is I can click this down. I can say, okay, I want to select one or the other. So let's say online. Where did it come from? Online. Click, and it will filter everything out. Let me just say all right now. Let's make sure we want it to do that. Yeah, click online. So we want to click it and just say we want to see only online. So it dropped about $20,000 here. I wasn't watching all of it, but it filtered through. Now you may need to identify a subgroup even beyond that. So we can drag the service type button from the rows to the filters area. So we can take and go service type into filters. And I'm going to take revenue down here. Yes.
So right now, where's the other sheet, the one that we started with?
It's still right here, 6-year sales figures, trend line.
Same one.
Oh, and sales and analysis. Yeah, it's over there. So now we can say service type. Well, what type of services do I have that I can look at? Oh, I want to know just basic. and it will sort through very quickly. Well, here's basic, and it's online or other venues. So we're just finding a very powerful tool that can sort and give us data very, very quickly. Let's see here, click on the filter, select multiple items. So we want basic plus and deluxe 150. So let's go ahead and go back up here. We want to select multiple items, and we can just uncheck all and say basic plus and deluxe 150. Oh, and T3, sorry. And we're going to go ahead and click OK. And then if we want to remove the filter, like we just did that whole thing, we can just go ahead and pull service out, and it gets rid of it. And now there's no filtering up top, and we just get everything for those 3 areas in the online venue. And then we can come up here, and let me see here. Oops. Is it? Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I do what they tell us. It's hard to read and do all of them. Click filter button in B2, and oh, you know what? Before I took away that filter button, I was supposed to do B2. I was supposed to select all again. So I just hit Control Z and undid it. So I have this back, and now I'm going to select all, click OK. Now everything's back here. City. Oh, and what area do we have? Region, revenue, and then I'm going to take service out. Good. All right, so now what we're going to do is filter a pivot table using the report row label filter. So we can use these different areas to get different things for us. I'm just going to close this really quick. See, yeah, I can close it up and open it up. So what I want to do is under region, we don't have region though. Why is region not, where's my pivot table? Region's supposed to be there. I want to make region a column, right? Let me see really quick. Service type 2000. We have our revenue row labels. I don't want that. I want service type. And region, and then take out revenue. But I want those up there. Those under values, what are we under here? Okay, what I did was I didn't finalize this, and I have to go into my pivot table design, and I actually didn't do the show tabular form, so it wasn't popping up right, so that's right. I'm going to go ahead and repeat all label items. Down here, we're going to jump back over to where we were. I'm going to have Mark come teach this because he did it right, I didn't. Thank you for your help on that, Mark. And we're going to have as our region value sums. Let me back this out just a little bit so we can see it. Okay, yeah, this is looking right now. Good. Everybody's lost now. All right, now we're going to use the filters that we have up here to do some stuff. So we're going to filter it using the row label filterer. So under service type, oh, you know what? I have revenue here. So I need to bring service type in and take revenue type out. That looks more like what we're looking for, I think. So I took from rows, I brought service type in after region, and I took out revenue venue. Now I can click on this filter right here, and I can say, hey, the only ones I want to see are basic plus, deluxe 150. So I'm going to uncheck everything, say basic plus, deluxe 150, and T3. When I click OK, it compacts them all. So it filters out all the other things that I had and just leaves those. And I just use this filter button right here. And I'm going to take T3 out now. So it's just going to be Basic Plus and Deluxe 150. Or as I like to say, 150. And so we can see that we can have those. Now we can go ahead and clear the filter, which means we can just select it and just say select all, clear it. Or you can clear filter from service type. So it just brings everything back. Now we can create reports based off of this. So we want to format this pivot table report.
Mr. Graham, if you create a chart based off this table and you start changing
Yes, it changes in the chart.
changes the chart.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So now what we're going to do is we are going to apply a pivot table style and specify the fields and formats. So name the sheet 1. We want to name this sales pivot table. Whoops, sheet 1. We're going to call this sales pivot table. And we have design up here in our pivot tools. So what we're going to do is drop this down, and what we want to make this is what? Dark. I'm going to scroll down to dark. They're asking us to use dark style 9, pivot style 9 right here. So it should look like this when we're done. Starting to look pretty.
Very pretty.
It's so pretty.
It's cool.
It's under dark, not medium.
This one.
Whoops. Now we want to right mouse click on cell C6. Why is it C6? I'm just curious. We're just going to go for it though. And we're going to go to number format. Number format right here. And we want to change this one to a currency. We want 0 decimal places. I went right mouse click, Amy. So I'm on C6, right mouse click, number format, select currency. Then I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Looks like this. We're going to go ahead and save. Currency, I just took off the 2 decimal places to 0 decimal places. Now we're going to do some summary functions in the pivot table report. So in cell C5, we're going to go up one more. Right now we're totaling these things. I'm going to right mouse click, and I can go down to summarize values by. We have sum, count, average, all these different ones here. So let's go ahead and pick average. And we can see that our average sales here turn out to be 10,000 per category. But this one is still dollars. You know what? We didn't change this one. We should change this one, I think. So let's go ahead and right mouse click this and say format or number format. Let's do currency. Take away our 2 decimal places. It's going to look good. So this one says up on top average. This one says sum. So we can tell the differences. Now we want to change this one to average. So how are we going to do that? What do you think, Mark? How are we going to do it? Sure. Summarize. And then average. Changes it all over to average. Now what if we want to add a new summary function? What if we want to do something different? Well, we still can. In the pivot table fields task pane, when we say that, we're talking about this over here. Okay, I'm going to get rid of my format shapes. So when we talk about this, what we can do is we can go over here and it wants us to drag the 2016 revenue field to the values area above the average of 2016. So I can take and do 2016 values field and put it above this one. Notice it threw in a sum now and an average. We have a sum and an average. And then we're going to do the same thing for 2017. But you know what? It wants total. We don't want it to be sum. We want it to be the total. Well, we have a total there. But it's saying total on here.
What's the difference between a sum and a total?
Well, it should just be, that is the sum. Oh, we're going to define the name. I apologize. So in the field value, right here, I hope I'm recording. Oh, good, I am. I was worried there for a second. Let me see if I can drag this out a little bit, give us a little more space over here. In this field value, we can do the value field settings. And we can change this from sum of 2016 to total revenue.
Oh, so we're only going to change the function.
Correct. Total revenue. Oh, and I could have gone in and done, and I should have, and I'm sorry. So I have this total revenue. I can click on it and do value field settings, and I can do the same thing where I go in and say number format, currency, get rid of the 2 decimal places, click OK, and now that whole group shows up right. I want to do the same thing with 2017 revenue again. So I'm going to drag that one in. It's going to come up saying sum of 2017 revenue, value field, 2017 total revenue, and number format, currency, 2 decimal places gone.
We also added a 2017.
Yeah, so I was just saying. So I pulled in 2016 total revenue, 2017 total revenue, average. All right. I'm going to come over and help you, Amy. If I didn't know any better, I'd call you Noelle. I'm just kidding. We're going to drag this one down here. Here, we got to get this off of your trackpad. We're going to take 2017. We're going to drag it down here. So now you've got 2 new ones here. Okay. So on this one, you're going to do a value field setting. And you're going to change it from 2016 sum of. Here, you're going to make it 2016 total. And then you're going to change your number format to currency. Ta-da. Now can you do that to the other one for 2017? Uh-oh, she's waiting for me to get to it. That means it's hard. And we're going to end today right here. I'm just kidding. Myra's like, no, I need to get to this one.
I worked so hard.
Noelle just wants to be done, even though she knows it would be worse for her on her certification.
I'm with you. I still want it to be done.
I still want it to be done.
Doesn't mean I don't want to be done.
Okay, next, we're going to customize field headers in the field list. So we've gone ahead, we've done all these. We've gotten our values, 0, decimal places. We're having fun here. Now we're going to switch from the design aspect up here at the pivot table to the analyze. So let's go ahead and select over here. And pivot table tools, we want to do that. We want to hide the pivot tables field task pane. So, we can just get rid of this right here. So we can just ditch this thing now. Getting rid of all that complicated nonsense. Thank you. Now, click the field list button on the pivot tables tool. So field list button right here, field list. It just pulled up. I'm sorry. I probably want to do buttons. So we can show buttons or not show the buttons. Do you see how that works? I have the negative, the little collapsing right here, not collapsing. So I clicked on that. Now I want to click the field headers button, show group, field headers button. Notice that it just pulled out all the filter buttons that we have up here. That's good. Now we want to click the pivot table options button. So pivot table options over here button. Drop it down. We're going to go ahead and click options. What? It's right over here, Noelle. Pivot table options. In here, we want to click auto fit. We're going to uncheck this box or this checkbox right here. Uncheck it. And click OK. So now it's not going to auto fit anymore. Now we can resize these to make them different size columns if we'd like. Let's see here. We can also click collapse button on A5. So we're going to need to show our button again. And we want to collapse A5. Shrinks it all back down. That's right. I clicked on buttons. I showed it. And then I collapsed it. I just hit the negative button right over here. And it drops city down. Does that work? Oh, so you go options, uncheck auto fit, then click OK. What was your question, George?
Oh, no, I'm just saying, then it displays the totals for city.
Yes. Okay, then we want to right click in A12 in Suburban, right here. Right mouse click in A12. And we want to point to the expand collapse menu right here. And we want to click collapse.
So it's just a different way of.
Yeah. So like I said, there's like 3 or 4 different ways to do all of this stuff. It doesn't matter which way you take as long as you do it. Then we want to click the buttons button again here on the show. So now we've got rural totals and we've got city and suburban. But because city and suburban's been collapsed, all it's giving us is the total, so it doesn't have to say totals in there. Let's go ahead and expand the entire field of city. We can just right mouse click on it, just like George was saying. We can expand this entire field. And when we do that, it brings everything back out. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and start labeling this thing. In A1, we're going to call this Link Me ISP Sales Report. And then 2016 and 2017. I'm on page 463. We want to merge and center all these rows. I'm going to merge and center these, or all these cells right here. And we're going to make a title slide out of the top one. We're going to make a heading 2 out of the second one. So it should look something like that. I hit save. I'm waiting for everybody to get through that point. Is that where you got stuck, Myra? It's called a title slide or a title cell. Oh no, we're not to that one yet. She's so far advanced.
All the way down to F.
What'd you say about me?
What? What are you talking about?
All the way down to F. Enough of a story. We got 20 minutes.
To your wife that we're helping her here.
Yeah, you're totally helping her. She's like, sell the Volvo, sell the Volvo. I'm like, no, it's my fun car. It gives me happiness when I just drive around in that on Sunday.
Oh, so you know that from Ramona?
Heck yeah.
Now I know what to look for. Be like, that's too cool.
You're like, there it goes. His wheels are falling off. Okay.
That'll be a story I'll be telling Monday morning.
Just call him if you see him. Hey,
I see your lug nuts.
There's a wheel. There's a wheel. Main Street. Can you please go get it?
Okay.
You sure it's not yours?
It's mine. Okay, hopefully we got just this one recording here. I'm not ordering you no pizza.
I'm hungry.
Okay, here we go. Let's do a pivot table report. So let's go ahead and click into, if you've already created a pivot table report, we can create a pivot chart. Okay, so we're going to create a pivot chart now for the pivot table using the pivot chart button under Analyze. And then we're going to do a pivot chart. Oh, updating? I'm sorry. She's right. She was stuck at the update. I went over one page here. Let me rewind to page 464. I'm going to get yelled at. So what we want to do is we want to click on the Sales Analysis Figures tab before we do that pivot chart. There we go. This one's for Myra. Then click E18. Other venues right here. Type 51. Then G18. Then G18.
Oh, you're in sales analysis.
Yeah. Type 3315. Then we're going to click on the Sales Pivot Table sheet to make it active. And then, if necessary, we got to click into the Sales Pivot Table. And then under Analyze, we want to hit Refresh. Yep. And it's just changed our numbers to match what happened in there. So we should have 13,139 up at the top for total revenue in 2017. And it should be 6,570 over here as the average. So I don't know why Myra couldn't do that, but obviously she hasn't learned anything in this class. No, just do they work now? Yeah. Okay. Now that we've done that, I can go to pivot charts. That wasn't too hard. I apologize for not doing that in advance. So we're going to go ahead and under Analyze still, we're going to click on Pivot Chart. We're going to go ahead and select a 3D clustered pivot chart right here. .3D clustered column. Looks like we have a different color scheme going on in here. I might have missed that somewhere. Click on the field list. Okay, if necessary, we did that. We want to then go into the OK. And we've added it here. We've got a legend over here. We want to move the pivot chart tool. So we want to go ahead and click on the design aspect of this pivot chart. And we're going to put it on its own page. So once again, we're going to move the chart. And we're going to move it to a sheet that says Sales Pivot Chart. Boom. Goes the dynamite. Now it's showing us that we have averages, we have a bunch of things, but we're going to eliminate some of this information here. We're going to simplify it a little bit. So in the pivot chart field task pane, drag 2016 average revenue, 2017 average revenue out of the value areas. So if we're going to come over here, we want to go to the sales pivot chart fields task pane, sorry. So we want to see our task pane. No, That's not what we want. We want to get to the field settings right here. Nope. I'm looking for my task pane, I'm sorry. Oh, field list? There it is. It's this one right here, field list, task pane. So in there, what we want to do is we want to take out, what were the two we wanted to take out? Average. So I'm going to scroll down here, and I'm going to remove these. I'm going to take out the average. I'm going to take out the average. Notice it's updating over here and giving us a better looking chart really quickly because now we have more data. So it's down here in the bottom right.
Take out both averages, right?
Yep, both averages go out. Now we want to do a lighter blue 2016 total revenue. So we want to actually click on this field right here. Oops, sorry, I want to grab all of them though. Click on here. I've got everything. So I'm on the first column part, and I can do my fill. It says lighter blue. I don't think I have the right. Myra, what theme am I supposed to be on, or color theme? I'm just going to pick a lighter blue here. Integral? So I'm going to go back up here and do that really quick. Colors? I don't see an integral. Was it a theme? Ta-da! There we go. Now we're looking good. We're cooking with oil. I went up to page layout, themes, and integral. And now it's asking me to change the color, not to turquoise accent 1, but to, what is it here? Lighter blue. Oh, and we can format this data series here. So we can go ahead and, we've still got this, I'm sorry, just the first columns? Yes. Blue, turquoise, what's this one? Green. I don't see a lighter blue. Maybe it's lighter blue? Well, there's light blue. Sure. Clicked on light blue. Now under design, because I'm going to design some of this stuff, we're going to format the data series on the shortcut menu for this one. So I'm going to click on it again. Oops, I don't want to format the data point. I want to format the data series. So I'm going to click on the series. I double clicked on one of them to bring it up. Now I have my format data series over here. We're trying to change it into a cylinder. Oh, I'm sorry, it's going to be right here. Cylinder. Now it makes it rounder, not just a bar. What'd you say, Amy? You just double tap on one. So watch, if I click off of this, if you just double tap on one, it'll pull up format data series. Then you got to click. You got to click on this one. Okay. And then, oh, but you're not, so you're only on one? So you got to be clicked on this again, and now, yeah. Now go down to cylinder. I'm done with this. We're no, Ellie wants. Well, it's like, you know what? This is tough. I'd like a croissant as we go through this. This would be really nice. Some flaky butteriness would be really good to just comfort me in this whole time of need.
Struggle of my life right now.
Okay, so click on the total 2016. Okay, we did that. We did the shortcut menu. We did cylinder. Okay, repeat the process for 2017 total revenue. So we want to change this one to a cylinder also. So we're going to go ahead and click over here. Now we're going to change this one to a cylinder. Select the chart title. Do we even have a chart title?
Oh, shoot.
Chart title. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And we want to call this the Link Me ISP. I added it. So you have this little plus button right here. And I just added a chart title. Oh, and then we're going to put more in there. I'm sorry, it's not just Link Me ISP. Enter. We're going to say total revenue by region and service type. Enter, and finally 2016 and 2017. This is really good so people know what is going to be there. I'm sorry, what? Oh yeah, region and service type. We're going to go ahead and click on the format tool over here. And then we want to display chart elements menu. So we want to click on chart elements arrow. And we want to go down and select current selection group. Click the chart elements arrow, current selection group. To display the chart elements. Good, we're there. And we want to go down to sidewall command, or back wall. So on the back wall, so we can go over here and say we want to affect the back wall of this thing right now. We want to click the shape fill arrow right here. And down there we're going to pull in a gradient. What's a gradient? Fades from one color to another. We're going to take from center, so this gradient right here, we're changing the way this looks in the background. And it fills in the back of that. Whoa.
Oh my God, it was magic.
Now we want to do the side wall because it's 3D. We want to do the same thing. So we're going to click on this. We're going to go down to the side wall. Now we've selected that, and we're going to do the same shape fill. So we're going to do a gradient and the center one for the side wall.
Yeah, like doing the sidewalk.
Click up here, chart elements, go down to side wall, do the same thing we just did. Because it's three-dimensional. And while he's counting down till she gets her croissant.
No, I gotta go to Mr. Cowan.
Mr. Cowan's awesome, though.
I know.
Especially after a day like today, you guys are going to be like, Mr. Cowan, thank you for having your class today. This is amazing. Did you know Mr. Greer had his front tire come off his car?
No, we're gonna talk about
That guy's an idiot.
me again.
Okay.
It's gonna talk about me again like this.
So now we're going to click the Sales Pivot Table Sheet tab to view changes in corresponding report. So Sales tab right down here. Yeah, I know.
He's like, I know. Stop reminding me. I know.
I'm not married to you either, Amy.
I know.
And you had your children in the car? That's what I heard the whole time.
Jeez.
Okay, let's see here. Click Sales tab. If necessary, click the Field List button on the pivot tables to show the group. Okay, so we're fine. So we're just trying to see if it's all in here. It's still in here. We want to remove the revenue venue field from the rows area and replace it with a region field. So we're going to go ahead and click in here. We're going to remove the oh my gosh. From the rows area, replace it with a region field. It's already region field. Oh, in the pivot table. Yeah, we're here. Yeah. What was your question, Myra? No, you could ask me. Oh. You're just yelling?
How do you get the pivot table field? Oh, never mind,
Now, click on the Sales Analysis Sheet tab one more time. So we're back in here. We're going to create a pivot chart and pivot table directly from the data. Click on cell A3. So we're inside this area. And click on the pivot chart arrow up top. So we can come up here to insert. Actually, is it over here? Where's my pivot chart? Pivot table. We want a pivot chart arrow, which is this one right here. Drop this down. Notice it says we can do a pivot chart and a pivot table. Aha! Zutalo! I have missed one. Click on that. It's going to say, do you want this whole area? And do I want it on a new worksheet? And I'm going to say, yes, I do. Yep. I'm going to get rid of this format chart area really quick. So now we have a pivot table and a pivot chart all on the same page. We can go ahead and recreate. So I'm going to drag region down here. I'm going to drag revenue down here. I'm just following what's in the book. I'm going to do sum of 2016, sum of 2017 revenues down here. Notice as I'm doing this, it's all pre-building itself. And now we want to do a calculated field. Okay, so under online right here on B5, in the calculated field area, so under Analyze, we want to go up to Analyze. We want to do Fields, Items, and Sets. And we're going to click on Calculated Field. We're going to call this one the Average 2016 Startup. Yep, Startup. The formula this is in the book, equals 2016 revenue. Oh, I could just click this here. Sorry. I'm writing it out. But equals the 2016 revenue. Insert the field. Divided by new service startups. These are all provided for us, so we don't have to do them. Insert. I'm not going to click add yet, even though we only have 2 minutes. So you don't have to type all this in. These are down here below. So these are all the fields that we have to calculate with. And that is how you do it, baby. I knew she knew that. That's my childhood. That's my adult life. No. Okay. So add that one. Then we're going to do one more, the average 2017 startup.
So you already hit add it? Or?
Yeah, I already hit add once. And this one's going to be 2000. I can go ahead and type those. I'm just going to put 2017. It'll know the fields.
Wait, mine said something rude.
Why you gotta be so rude?
What did you do? There's a problem with this.
I did the average 2016 and average 2017.
Then click add.
I clicked add, then I hit
Oh,
OK.
I know what I did wrong. Bam.
Now it gave me some averages over there on the right. And we can see that my chart updated. But those numbers are really, really tiny. So we are out of time. I'm going to hit save. I will do the homework and post it so you can follow.